In this lecture, we are going to talk about the constructor. The constructor is a special function that is executed when the contract is deployed, when it is created. The constructor is executed only once. We can have only one constructor and it is optional. The constructor is used to initialize the state variables at contract deployment and to register the address that deployed the smart contract. A contract can be deployed by another contract or by an external owned account, by an user account. Let's see some examples. I have here a simple smart contract named property with two state variables, price and location. And I create the constructor using the keyword constructor. And now my constructor can have some arguments. This is not mandatory, but it's logical to initialize the state variables. So it has two arguments, unsigned integer underline price and string underline location. The constructor is public. That means that anyone can deploy this contract, can call the constructor. And now inside the constructor, I have price equals underline price, location equals underline location. This is my constructor. When I will deploy the contract, I must specify at deployment time two arguments, the price and the location. Let's try it. Here I select Java virtual machine because I don't want to deploy this simple contract on a live blockchain, on Ringby or on mainnet. So here you can see we have an edit box where we must write the constructor arguments. So price, let's say 10, and location between double quotes London. Deploy. The contract has been deployed, has been created. This is the transaction that created the contract. And here I can see the contract interface. I have my two setter functions, set location and set price, and the automatically created getter functions because these variables are public, location and price. If I press on location, I get the value of London, and if I press on price, I get the value of 10, the value of price. These values have been initialized by the constructor. Sometimes it's very important to register the address that deployed this contract because that is like an admin, like an owner of the contract, and the security of the contract or some functions would and could be run and must be run only by the admin. So let's create another variable of type address, let's say owner. And inside the contract we initialize this variable named owner with msg.sender. MSG sender is a global variable, a built-in variable, so it exists. We don't need to define or to declare this variable. And this variable consists of the address of the account that generates the transaction. In this case, the account that deploys the contract. So the owner, the value of this variable will be the address that deploys the contract. The constructor is executed only once, so there is no possibility to modify the owner. The owner will be the address that deploys the contract. Of course, we can modify the owner if we create a special function, a setter function, but this contract doesn't have such a function. So I write here public because I want to see the owner of the contract without a getter. And now I deploy the contract one more time. So I deploy the contract specifying its arguments, let's say 5 and Madrid. And I press on deploy. The contract has been deployed and location is Madrid, price is 5, and now owner must be the address of the account that created the contract. This is the account, the first account from these 5 built-in accounts. So the owner should start with 0xCA3. Let's check it. Okay, the owner is 0xCA35B7 and so on. This is very important, and almost any smart contract uses this feature. In older version of Solidity, the constructor had another syntax. So instead of this line number 8, in older version of Solidity, and there are many smart contracts that have this syntax, we have, so instead of constructor, we have a function with the same name as the smart contract, so property, and then the argument list, unsigned integer, underline price, string, underlined location. This is the old way of creating a constructor. As you can see, we have an warning. Defining constructors as functions with the same name as the contract is deprecated. Use constructor instead. I wanted to show you this example because it's very possible to see many contracts that define the constructor in this way.